Tunaambia walimu wote wakae mbali sana na mashule. Ile distance watakuwa nayo na mashule iwe ya umbali wa kutosha, ili watu wasifikirie wako karibu na shule ama wana nia ya kusongea karibu na shule. Tunaambia wazazi kwamba tarehe 26 usidhubutu kupeleka mtoto shuleni, sababu walimu hawatakuwa, na ukipeleka wale watoto haitakuwa ni jukumu ya walimu kuwalinda.
Why do you think you are seen by so many Kenyans as being the epitome of a corrupt politician?
That tells you that the whole corruption narrative has been politicized.
But your citizens have absolutely no faith in all of the words that you and others give to me about your pledge to clean up the country, to deliver on anti-corruption. They don't believe a word of it.
We have the fight against corruption on the eyeball. And I want to tell you that the country today believes strongly that this government, this administration, is serious about the fight against corruption.
The Ipsos polling organization asked Kenyans which politicians in your country they believe to be corrupt. People were asked, and this is the question, of all the current and past but alive political leaders you can think of, which one do you think is the most corrupt? Guess who came out on top?
Your guess is as good as mine.
You. 33% chose you.
Absolutely.
William Ruto.
Yes.
An individual. It was a very powerful statement, and that statement resonates and will always resonate throughout, because it is always about the country more important than an individual. When a young person like him, and I'm calling my young kid because he's my child really, comes and says Ruto must go, Ruto must go, he is not understanding what is this Ruto must go. It is about structures and systems. It is not about individuals. It is not about Ruto must go, but are the structures and systems in place to check what is called excessive wastage in government? Are the structures in place to check wastage in government? Are the structures in place to ensure that there is no corruption? Because those are the issues. Are the structures in place to ensure that public money is used in a fair manner, equitably, across the country? Because there is no need of one part of the country getting more resources, getting more development, when another part of the country is not. And therefore, those structures is what our 2010 Constitution strives to achieve by actually separating the three arms of government, so that legislature remains with just oversight, legislation and representation, to make sure that they check the excesses of government.
No, it is not a passing cloud in the sense that, and I feel it is very unfair for us to reduce a youthful political exercise into what Raila said or what Ruto said or what whoever individual said, because this is yes, it's fine.
Yeah, it is.
It's fine. The man is here to appease his political master. So
just
let
like
him talk.
You are here to appease those who are sponsoring and buying you suits.
Yes.
When you know you work nowhere
let
to
him
afford
talk. Let him talk. You know he cannot afford to.
So,
he does not go to therapy. So when he sees a young person, he wants to offload. Just offload. No, let him offload. No, let him offload.
He started
Chacha, please don't interrupt him. Don't interrupt him.
If it's about this kind of trouble, I'm the best at it. You know, when he came here, he thought he can do it. You wait and do the nonsense on your YouTube.
No, don't switch off. Don't switch off. Don't switch off. Don't switch off his mic. No. Don't switch off his mic. The man needs, there has something he needs to let out. No, let it out. Let it out. Let it out.
Passing cloud.
No, it's not. And the profiling that was happening, the profiling that was happening during Nane is the same that we saw, although in a different format, where during the post-election people were being profiled tribally. This time, even the roadblocks were set in all the major highways and entry points into Nairobi, and youth were being forced out of matatus, and people were being returned. They were told there is no work that is happening. So if a protest is to ensure that no economic activity is happening in the CBD, no economic activity happened, whether or not the media covered it, whether or not government bloggers yap about it and want to cry on national television. It happened and it achieved its results. The part that people get wrong, they think that Nane was the end. This is just but the beginning. That's why I'm telling him he needs to...
So there are more demos on the way?
Let me tell you, you have seen nothing. This government, as I've said time without number, will crumble upon the weight of its own stupidity. And the time will avail itself again. And these government bloggers will not be able to stop it. They sit here, think they will call people children and it affects anything. It will not be affected. As a young person, I can assure you in this country that this was just but the beginning. We will organize, mobilize, and sensitize to a level that has never been seen.
We need to understand when you are always told that when do you know when to exit the stage? When you exit the stage when the music or when the dance is still very sweet. Don't
He's
exit
an
the stage.
actually.
Yeah, he's an artist, and therefore he should have known when to exit the stage.
I know
The
better about the
first,
dance than
I
she
told
does.
you, please. I told you. I don't interrupt yours. Please don't interrupt
No, but
mine.
when you reference me,
You
I
can
really
do
need-
no.
If you reference me, I have to come.
You have also referenced me.
Kindly
submit. You have also referenced me.
He also knows politics.
No, you have also referenced me. No. You have referenced me also, but I kept my cool and waited for you to talk. You can engage, you don't engage, but not me. Please allow me. No. Allow me to engage. Allow me to give me. Yes,
Kennedy, let's have some order here.
Yeah, for me, don't interrupt. Let me just finish. I said they needed to have known when to exit the stage.
You said you have a Gen Z.
I have a Gen Z, but does not behave like this. He's much better.
Actually support your government.
He's much better. They may not support.
Also, you cannot.
I said.
Now becoming. No. I will allow.
Caswell,
one thing that
I have been asked a question.
One thing
I have been asked a question. No.
It will.
Let's have some order.
You will not.
Please. Caswell,
There's a statement you said that I will correct.
No, don't correct.
There is a statement.
You
I
will
will get
correct
back
at
to you
your
with a
time.
rejoinder.
You will correct at your
I'll
time.
be getting back to you with
No.
If they switch off my mic, I will speak into Mheshimiwa's time. There's something you've said. You've said that you have a Gen Z that is better than me.
Yes, far better.
You cannot compare me to your children because you have
Far
been
better,
involved
my
with
friend,
men
it
who
is
have
my
corrupted
time.
this country.
Yeah.
If you want us to go personal, I will go personal. Yes, don't do it. Don't do it.
Mheshimiwa Kitani,
Yes.
kindly proceed. It's
So,
you interjected. No. Let's have some order here.
And what I would want to
Let's
say,
have some order.
and I requested, yes.
Mheshimiwa Kitani,
Chacha, I'm requesting you.
I'll be getting
There's a level. This is a point of order. When we raise a point of order in any discussion, you listen. This is not correct.
Kennedy, let's allow.
Engage with me, please.
Kennedy and
Engage with me,
Caswell, let's have some order.
But please.
No.
Kennedy,
But please.
Joel, have their mics off.
I don't even
Mheshimiwa
know.
Kitani, proceed.
You don't think we are
What
a
I-
different generation.
what
We are a
I-
different generation.
And I have requested, Chacha, please, let's have order in this discussion. We were talking to Kenyans, and we need Kenyans to listen to all of us. Let Kenyans judge who is the right person, who is the wrong person. But let's not disrupt. When everybody else is speaking, I am not disrupting them. So please allow me also to pass my points. Let my points be heard out there and let them be said. I said
You have a Gen Z that's better
I-
than me.
I have-
Kindly proceed. Kindly proceed. Their mics are off.
I will not wait.
Mheshimiwa Kitani,
So-
proceed. Their mics are off.
my issue is
Whether
this.
you are 50
We need to
or
know
10, I
when
do
to
not
exit
tolerate
the stage.
disrespect.
And the Gen Zs needed to have known when to exit the stage. The issues the Gen Zs raised were very relevant issues. The issues they raised were 1, about corruption, 2, about governance, 3, about wastage in this government. And it is not only this government, every successive government has had all these issues. But they raised those points. And when those points were raised, they needed now to give time to government, which actually the Gen Zs did. The people who are on the streets now are not Gen Zs. These are people, political people who are trying to use a few young people like Kasmuel here
I still believe the
to
Gen Z
try and
revolution
make them
was not
believe that the
organic.
Gen Z revolution is still there, but there is no Gen Z revolution. So there is no Gen Z revolution.
time to respond.
So,
I'll give you time.
and by the way,
Africa's politics have fallen into the hands of elites, as the Nigerians would call them. These are a class of people who are pure business politicians, and business and politics go together in Africa. You cannot stand as a poor man. I came across a wonderful example the other day from Kenya, where a man who cycled around on a bicycle was trying to get himself elected, and the people just laughed at him and they say, "You've only got a bicycle, what can you do for us? We need a big man with a big car with money. That's the politician we need to." So there's this mentality which I think has allowed a very small group of people to take over those countries politically, but also economically. And that's why you have something like, I think the World Bank says between 60 and 70% of Africa's capital shifted out of the continent. It's in banks in Europe and Asia and maybe America as well. But these people just do what the colonialists did, which was suck the wealth out and shift it overseas. And until that changes, that is, until there's a new generation or even a revolution that actually takes power back to African people, I think those problems, that lack of development, will continue. The answer has been, well, why should we invest in Africa as outsiders if the rich Africans don't invest in Africa? And that's been the case up until now. But I think it's changing. I think there is African capital flowing back into Africa, not just from remittances from African diasporas living overseas. I mean, 20 billion a year until recently. Not sure which way it's going to go now. But also some of the big men who are very, very rich men indeed are beginning to say, actually, maybe I can invest in Nigeria and do better than I can by investing in New York or in Switzerland or somewhere like that.
I listened to the Chinese president speaking in eloquent Mandarin, saying how the relationship between Africa and China is a mutually beneficial relationship. He spoke about Africa as if it was one country. He did not remind himself, in my mind, that there are 55 countries in Africa, or 54 if you ask Morocco. And I listened to the Chinese president specifically mentioning the Gambia and a few other, and Sao Tome and Principe, that they were welcomed back to the world because they had renounced their relationship with Taiwan and they had now recognized the one China policy. Do I say this because there is anything wrong with China? No. I'm saying this because the Chinese are providing leadership for their people. They know exactly what they want for their people, and they are doing exactly what they want for their people for the benefit of their people. The question that I'm posing to us, do we know what we want for our people? Are we doing what we need for our people? And the answer is, I doubt. Why do I doubt? I doubt because at the end of the entire enterprise, the Chinese president said that he had given, or his government had given, 60 billion United States dollars to 54 African countries. Notionally, therefore, each country would be entitled to no more than 1.5 billion. Half of the presidents who are present in China, each one of them, half of them, can produce 1.5 billion. Sportsmen in Europe and America, including boxers, can earn $1 billion in a single bout. And we are here celebrating and singing the praises of China because they gave us 60 billion. Once again, it is a statement of their ability to recognize what leadership is all about. I'm submitting to us that when we interact with people like the Chinese, there is something to learn from them. We may condemn them at forums such as this, but there is wisdom in asking ourselves, how is it that this country, which about 30 years ago could not feed half our population, has in 30 years during our lifetime succeeded in pulling up nearly 800 million people out of poverty? How is it that every road that is now being built in Africa, whether the road is in Benin or in Nairobi, Kenya, or in Johannesburg, South Africa, or in Kigali, in Rwanda, or the Democratic Republic of Congo, there is a Chinese firm whose name I cannot pronounce, as the contractor for that son. How is it that China, which about 30 years ago did not produce a mobile phone, today out of every 10 mobile phone, we are using 6 which are from China? If it is not Techno, it is some other phone. If we are not inviting Jack Ma, we are inviting another Chinese, because we have seen that they have the ability to organize their affairs.